Hey guys, it's Dusky Arts, and this is sort of a technical version of furry support. I know usually I talk about more deep and sensitive topics than this, but a major part of our community as furries is art. And I am an artist, so I think it's a really good thing to talk about, especially considering that I end up in a lot of conversations with people who are just starting out and they kind of want to know the process and whatnot. So let's talk about it. First off, let's put this card on the table. I am very much in the camp of digital art. Traditional art is beautiful. In fact, people who show traditional art skills, mad respect to you guys. I used to be one of you. I used to use a lot of marker work, a lot of micron pens. I did Copic markers and micron pens primarily. I blended colors. I knew how to do that kind of stuff. I could use watercolor, that sort of thing. I very much went for that like anime manga kind of coloring style. But something happened, and I'm not going to go into the whole damn story because it's a story I don't mind telling, but it's a long story, where I lost an enormous amount of my tools. And someone helped me understand how to use digital art. They helped me understand how to scan in a drawing, set the drawing layer to multiply in Photoshop, and then work underneath the drawing layer with my colors. And basically what that does, what the multiply feature does, is it makes darks come forward and lights recede. So the white of the paper vanished and my colors showed through, as if I had a line drawing. All right? And I was able to color it. Then I started working on a Wacom tablet, and I started inking that drawing, right? Excuse me, you're going to hear me opening a soda because my voice is tired. I've recorded this 3 times to try to get it right for you guys. So, I apologize. I started inking my drawings and then throwing away the layer that had the original drawing on it once the ink was drawn. And then I realized, wait a minute, I can build my drawings from the ground up. I can use layers to start with my underdrawings and then build my sketch over the top of that and then build my final drawing over the top of that and delete older layers as I was going until I had a drawing that I was completely satisfied with, and then just start working in the exact same way on colors underneath of it in layers, all right? This is the basic architecture of every program worth its salt. Layers. So if you learn how to manage layers like that, you can use Photoshop, Clip Studio, ArtRage, Psy, SketchUp, all of them. Okay? I'm sure I left some out in that list, but those are examples. So you're thinking about getting into art, but you don't know if digital feels big. It feels like, oh, it's a huge learning curve. Well, first of all, here's the pros. You can create your work, you can publish your work, and what you see is what you get. Okay? You don't ever have to purchase a color ever again. You have 256 million colors at your disposal. Working in layer architecture means that you can non-destructively edit. If something goes wrong in a layer, you fix that layer. You don't mess with the rest of your image. If you need to undo, you have Control Z. You have undo. Some programs have a toggle undo, like Photoshop, so it's like undo, redo each time you press it. Some programs have a number of redos that when you hit Control Z, it goes back through your history of steps. And you hit Control Shift Z and it goes forward through your history of steps up to the most recent one. All of these things are so invaluable. They changed the art world forever. Photoshop was kind of the first to really implement those, and it's been that way across every other program. Now, should you use Photoshop? Sure, Photoshop is great, but Photoshop does not care about you, the artist. They actually think that you're their secondary customer, even though we are their primary market. They don't care. They keep insisting that Photoshop really is for photographers. And as such, certain features that would be very easy for them to implement, they have not implemented. So I can't say what because I haven't used the new Photoshops. I stopped using Photoshop about CS6. I switched to a program called Clip Studio. And I'm going to boast a little bit about Clip Studio here. Photoshop is, it's expensive, it's clunky, and it forces you to do a yearly renewal or a monthly renewal where you have to pay more and more money to them. And their new programs, all of Adobe's new programs, force updates. Same thing that like your Windows computer does, right? Well, I'm okay with, I guess I have to put up with the Windows computer because I don't know how to use things like Linux. I'm not that savvy. But I don't want to put up with that for my art program. I would like to buy a program as is, have it on my computer, and learn it and use it. And that's what I have done with Clip Studio. If you want to upgrade, you can buy the package where you do the same thing that you do with Photoshop, or you can upgrade it yourself. But you can also choose to just buy the package as is, WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get, and use it without, having it be that invasive. That may matter less or more to you depending on who you are. But the thing I will say about Clip Studio is it's about $250 if you buy it just outright, which is not bad at all. It sounds like a lot until you realize if you're trying to do traditional art, how much money have you spent over a year on paints or markers or micron pens or things like that. On top of that, if you do traditional art, you're going to have to scan it in somehow, and that scan or that picture is not going to show it in its best light. So you're going to have to go into a digital program anyway and clean it up, sharpen the colors, sharpen the contrast, do all kinds of things to it to try to get it to look as good as it looks on paper to you. Guarantee you, any of these pro artists that do traditional style work still go through that step. They have to. And mad props to you because goddamn, that's infuriating. I've done it. So, if you work digital, yes, your stuff may have a digital look to it rather than a traditional look, but that's okay because you have a lot more at your disposal and you don't have to pay for any of it. Also, you can publish the drawing anywhere you want. You can print the drawing anywhere you want. You can try to make money off your art, and if people are willing to pay for it, you don't have to put your capital down to do that. Instead, the only thing you have to put down is your time. So, Clip Studio to me is the best art program out there. When I got tired of dealing with Adobe's bullshit, I started to ask around, and the resounding answer that I got was Clip Studio. So I looked into it. I've not used ArtRage and I've not used Psy, but from what everyone said, Clip Studio was a better choice. I've used SketchUp before, and Clip Studio is definitely much more robust than SketchUp. So, $200 pay, $250, way worth it. You have a program that was based on manga and anime, and the creation of that then went more robust and created a whole art suite that aimed at artists that were doing production style art, which is the kind of art that we like in this fandom. We like characters, we like stories, we like comics, we like games, we like animation. So that's the kind of art you're going to be doing. You have the ability to create special kinds of layers that will track your line work in what's called a vector format, which means that you can go in and edit lines. So if you want to go ahead and finish a drawing before you fix a mistake, sure, go ahead. You can edit your lines if you do this. This is actually something I'm still learning how to do myself because I never used to do it. But when I found out I could do it, I was like, holy shit. That changes my editing process, and it actually speeds up my workflow a lot. There is a massive community. Clip Studio is a Japanese program, but it's got both Japanese and American and people from all over the world contributing to the community. And when I say contributing to the community, what I mean is, if you need a brush, you go onto their storefront basically, and you find that brush. Does it cost money? No, there's a lot of freeware stuff that's actually really good that artists make for other artists. If you need an asset, you can go download that asset. I have a brush that makes bookshelves full of books. I have a brush that makes bottles on a shelf for like a bar scene. I have a brush that does fences for me. I don't need to create those by hand painstakingly anymore because I've found artists that created an asset and I downloaded the asset and I, of course, edit the asset and make it work for me for each picture I do, but it's way less time than if I say had to do every single line to make a chain link fence, for example, or every single bottle to make a collection of bottles in a bar. So this in and of itself makes the program worth it. The program has a neat little token system, so you're not paying actual cash. What you're doing is you're buying tokens or buying gold. They have Clippy tokens and they have gold, and I'm not sure why they have two different systems, but they do. And so if you want to buy a brush or an asset or a texture or a background that is being sold, that's actually how you pay for it, is with those that you've already pre-purchased, almost like pre-purchasing game tokens at an arcade. So the money is never going to like random people, right? What's happening is you're using a middleman via tokens. But it's actually pretty rare that I've had to use tokens to purchase something because there's so much free stuff. You just go in, you search for what you want, and bingo. You'll find people. You'll find stuff. I found stuff for buildings, for city lights. I found stuff for signs. I found stuff for textures. I mean, I found stuff for concrete. I found stuff for wood. It's really robust what you can do. And like the brushes, that means I can just brush it in anywhere I want. It's great. You have a lot at your disposal here that will allow you to up your game as an artist and be able to progress into a place where you can create what you want and fairly quickly. Tablets. We're talking about drawing tablets. I use a Huion tablet. That's Huion. It's a Chinese company. It is cents on the dollar for what Wacom is. Wacom has cornered the market in the United States, and they like to pretend that they're the only game in town. They're not. There are a lot of different tablets that are really good, but the one I use is, I believe it's a Canvas 13, Canvas 14. It's Kamvas from Huion. The cool thing about Huion is that it's $400 instead of $2,000 for a visual tablet that has a screen. One caveat I will say is that I had some issues right at first calibrating the tablet to my machine so that my screen and its screen matched up and my pen matched up on both screens where it was supposed to be. And to this day, I have noticed that with the tablet, there is a slight disconnect. But I tend to look at my screen when I draw more than I look at the tablet anyway, so that works for me. If it doesn't work for you, you might find a workaround or a solution. I found some solutions. I haven't found a full, complete fix yet. If anyone has any suggestions, I'd love to hear it. But if you're asking me what you would need to get started in digital art, I would say a Huion tablet and a Clip Studio Pro. That would be the primary thing. If you scan in your drawings, you'll need a scanner. But you don't have to. I don't use a scanner anymore. I don't do traditional art anymore at all. I work directly in the machine. And that's my advice for anybody. I'm not the end-all be-all. Other people will say other things. No shade to other art programs. SketchUp, Psy, Art Rage, even Photoshop. They all have their uses, and they can be good at lots of other things. But I've just found that this setup is probably the best for what I do. And it's also got enough support and enough community that I don't feel like if I have a problem, I'm not going to be able to find an answer, or if I end up in a production, pipeline, it's not going to be saving to file archetypes no one uses. Yeah, it's probably the most well-rounded and robust for the money. So yeah, I hope that helps some of you guys. And if you're looking to get into this, I wish you all the best. Cheers.